Hi crafters, it's Karen, and this is a video response for Marilyn G's Prima Doll at the Beach challenge. I'm going to put all the information in the description box for her Prima Doll giveaway, and I believe the deadline is March 18th. Anyway, check the description box for a link to her video. So I thought I would do a video process video to share how I created my Prima Doll tag, beach themed tag. I used some different mediums, and yeah, it was a lot of fun to do, so I thought I would share the process. So here I am coloring this little kitten from this $1.50 kitten stamp that I have, because I was going to use the kitten on the tag and make it like it was Shadow, you know, my own cat at the beach with me. But I couldn't find a spot for her on the tag, so you're gonna see me color it and everything, but in the end there is no room for the kitten, so I'll save her for another tag. The Prima Doll that I chose to use is oh, I don't have her in front of me. I can't believe it. I'm so sorry. But I did use the French Riviera paper collection from Frank Garcia for Prima, and it is gorgeous paper. I am using cardboard for the tag base, and this is a thinner piece of cardboard, but real cardboard nonetheless, and I peeled some of the paper back to reveal some of the corrugation. I just love that look. And then I measured out my paper. The tag itself, the cardboard tag itself, is a size 8 tag, and which is 4 by 8 inches. So I measured out the paper, the Prima paper, to go over my cardboard tag, and I tore it just so that the different spots where I peeled back the cardboard would show through my paper, or you know, through the tears of the Prima paper. You'll see. And now I'm adding some gesso. I'm using the Deco Art gesso that I picked up at Joann's, and this gesso is thicker. It's thicker than the gesso from like the Art Loft gesso from Michael's and everything. It's a nice thick gesso, so I'm using it to go over my edges because I didn't want any of that cardboard edge to show. And I mostly put gesso just on the pieces, the parts that will show through the paper. And you know, I didn't do any real mixed media on the cardboard. Sometimes we use gesso to protect our paper when we're using mixed media, our sprays and our inks and our you know, watercolor crayons and stuff. Sometimes we use the gesso to protect the paper. Sometimes we use gesso as a primer when we're getting ready to paint, you know, something, to when we're altering it, you know, as that base coat. And sometimes we just use gesso, you know, for the look of it, because we want to give a nice whitewash to something, and that's why I'm using gesso here, is just simply for the look of it. I didn't add any paints or watercolors or anything, or inks on top of this. So the only reason why I used the gesso was simply to give that corrugated look a little bit of a whitewash, and hopefully give it a more beach type look. So I'm using also the Deco Art gel medium to adhere the paper to the cardboard. And I did go over the edges with the Tim Holtz Distress Tool around the edges of the paper, and I also used, I believe it was Vintage Photo. It was either Vintage Photo or Walnut Stain Distress Ink. around the edges and around the tears, and around all the different elements for my tag, as a matter of fact, except for the doll herself. And as you saw in the beginning of the video, my doll was I already prepared my doll before I started this video. I used some Prima paper for the doll itself, and then for her clothes I paper pieced her with a Lily Bee designed paper pad that I picked up, I don't know, a couple years ago, but it has nice small prints on it, which makes it perfect for Prima doll clothes because the prints are so small. And then I colored her in, her skin tone in with the Tim Holtz Distress pens and markers, and also I colored in her hair with the distress markers as well. So here I'm adding, I used the other beach theme paper that came out last year. I forgot the name of it offhand, I'm sorry, but I tore a few pieces that have blue tones and teal tones to them and laid them across in this way, sort of to give the idea of the ocean, the way my doll is going to see. My doll is going to be standing, that where her feet will be brown, like she's on the beach part, and then behind her you'll see the teal and blue color paper, which hopefully will look like the ocean behind her. And then I took some of the scraps from when I was cutting out the tag, and laying them just for the layered look of it, and for the the different color of it. In the end, you'll see what I mean. And I'm using the gel medium to adhere that as well. So I had a lot of fun putting this tag together, and I hope this is okay, Marilyn, doing a process video for my project. Okay, now I'm using this crackle paste. As you can see, I added that beach netting to the side there. You see where I have that beach netting, and I also had the gold foil. I must have skipped a step, I'm so sorry. But I used my gold foil pen on my flowers to go over the edges of my flowers. And I also used my gold foil pen marker, it's like a paint pen, around the edges of my tag itself. And now I'm using this crackle paste, and it's a lot like modeling paste, except as it dries it gives a crackle effect, and it looks very, very cool. I'll have to do another video to show you this tag up close so that you could see the detail better. But I use that beach netting, and I put my doll up on dimensional foam pieces, and now I'm using my hot glue gun to adhere it, because I don't trust the foam pieces to adhere to the crackle paste and the gel medium. And those are the flowers. Those are just flowers from Michael's that I used my gold paint pen, and you can see how I painted just the very edges of them with the gold foil pen, and then I thought it looked so nice I went around the whole tag itself with the gold foil pen as well. And now this is a die cut from the French Riviera collection. It's just like half of this of a sailboat, and I put that in the distance so that it would look like a boat in the distance behind her, you know, in the water behind her. I peeled up some of the paper from the tag in the bottom right just for the look of it, and now I'm using some other die cuts from the collection, like die cuts of seashells and such. Now I'm adding a piece of twine, and I tied it up in a knot because I suck at bows, but I thought it was a cool look, and so I tied it in a nice big knot and then added it right below the boat there. It just gave a cool little embellishment look to it, I guess. Yeah, the crackle paste came out really, really cool on this tag, and it gives a very fine crackle. I also did some stamping. Apparently, we missed that step as well. I'm wondering if I loaded my sequences right. But here I'm using some of those new Recollections flowers. They're so cute, these tiny little flowers, and I'm using the blue ones and yellow and orange ones, and I will tone them down with a little bit of gesso because they are very bright. But and then I do go over the middle, what do you call the middle piece of the flower? I forget offhand, but anyway, I went over it with the gold foil paint as well, so that the center of all the flowers have a gold mark to them. I found a piece of canvas banner in my little bowl of bits and pieces, and so I cut it to size and edged the top with gold foil with the gold foil pen. I added a couple of tiny little flowers to it, and I put it up on top there as an embellishment, and it just kind of brought some pretty flowers to the top. I also used some what do you call that, cheesecloth across where the water is to mimic like waves coming in, and you know, that water foam or whatever you call it when the water comes into the beach. And I also used a little piece up near the doll's head, like in the background, so that it's kind of like a cloud back there. The sentiment says enjoy life, and I'm cutting into a fishtail banner and inking the sides, and I put it right there. I didn't want to cover too much of the crackle paste because crackle medium, because it came out so nice. I decided to do more gesso sprinkles, watered down gesso, and just sprinkled it out across the tag for that extra sweet touch. And now I'm going over some of the flowers with gesso too to tone them down. And now I'm deciding where to put my sentiment. So look in the description box for a link to Marilyn G's channel, to the video in which she talks about the challenge that she has going on. It's really fun, and it's right up my alley. I don't normally get involved in these challenges, but I really want to, and I'm trying to find the time to participate more. And I thought this was the perfect challenge for me to start participating in, because it was beach themed, right? So I felt inspired. So thanks so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. Leave a comment and thumbs up if you enjoyed this process. And I'll probably share this tag in another video so that you can see the details properly. So thanks so much, Marilyn, for having the challenge. And I'm sure I will talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.